Are you happy in your business? Now, I have had my share of emotional ups and downs in my 20 years of being a solo entrepreneur coach, and the patterns I've seen in myself and in my clients is that those downs are usually when I was personally feeling unfulfilled. Sometimes it was because a launch that flopped, and sometimes it was just life and had nothing to do with business. But those ups, oh boy, those are the times when I was feeling my most authentic and completely aligned to my purpose, or when I just felt like I was rocking that work-life balance. I would be thinking I could do this all day long and never feel tired. One of my loves is sharing what works for me and what has been working for my clients to achieve this very feeling, full of passion, happiness, peace, and freedom. So I decided to create a private podcast for coaches. Maybe you just want to develop better communication skills that boosts engagement, leads to better results, and makes you feel like you're actually making a difference in the lives of the people you serve. Then you're invited too. We talk about this and more in the UBU private podcast for coaches. Whether you're a mentor, a parent, or run a client-focused business, coaching skills benefit everyone and anyone who wants to communicate in a way that builds relationships. Fall in love with your life and business again. Click the link in the show notes for your invitation to join us right now. Then come back and enjoy this episode.
I'd had depression for many years. I had all the recipes to actually delve into the depths of depression and just go totally into victim and, really lay it on thick if I wanted to. I had every reason to. Why am I still here? Why am I still here? And what have I got to offer? As soon as I read what could have happened, that was it. It was like, wow.
It's time to stop comparing yourself to others and plug in to what is uniquely you. Welcome to Unbox Your Personality, the podcast for coaches, parents, and mentors like you who understand that your happiness makes you more effective at what you do, bringing out the best in others. I'm Jen Higgins, personality strategist and Enneagram fluff remover. Get laser focused on who you are and who you aren't, so you're free to make the impact you were born to make. And have fun doing it. Your personality is your business. So let's get down to business. Hello, Jodi. How are you doing?
I'm fabulous, Jen. How are you?
I am great. Jodi O'Connell is coming to us from Australia in the future.
Yes, in the future. That's right.
Australia is a day ahead of where I am, which is in Eastern Standard Time in Tennessee. But before I go off on tangents, I want you to tell the listeners, Jodi, who is Jodi O'Connell?
Oh gosh, have you got 2 hours? No, really. I am a nearly 47-year-old woman living here in Australia. I am someone who's hugely passionate about personal growth and obviously living outside the box of our personalities. I am a single mummy of 2 adult boy children who I'm really proud of. I am also a stroke survivor / warrior woman. I am someone who has studied the Enneagram for probably around 6 or 7 years now. I have explored lots of different avenues of personal growth and that sort of thing, but the Enneagram has been one of the most life-changing for me, one of the most freeing, and the impact it's had on my relationships, not just with others, but with myself. And it has just been phenomenal.
Wow. I can't wait to dig in.
Awesome.
I just love the enthusiasm on your face. I'm curious, what were some of the other things that you tried before the Enneagram?
So obviously I've delved into a few of the other personality models like Myers-Briggs and those sorts of things. I've also, I guess, on my mission to learn more about myself, I've sort of, I guess, attracted in opportunities of personal growth and personal development. So there might be courses and that sort of thing that have sort of come across my path. And I promised myself that anything that came my way, I would jump in, because you can never know too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up working for a personal development company for 5 years after I had just been to a workshop of sorts that I guess educated me in different ways of learning my values and learning about my beliefs and the limiting beliefs and how they're holding me back and those sorts of things. So I jumped in with the opportunity to actually work with that company, and out of that I got so much more and was able to help support other people as well in their growth journeys. So it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what other than the Enneagram, because I've just grabbed everything and run with it. Yeah.
Yes. I love hearing you talk because we met in an Enneagram group.
We
And
did.
it was because you were posting, it was so positive, it was so aligned with what I believe about the Enneagram. We were even using the same words.
Yeah, that's what I found. So I've really only jumped into Enneagram groups, online groups, over the last probably 6 months or so. And I sort of stepped back and observed for a bit and found that there were kind of two kinds of people. There were the people that were just dead set on typing themselves, and other people to kind of justify their behavior, which absolutely irked me because it's like, no, especially if they're justifying unhealthy behavior. It's kind of like, oh yeah, no, I do that, and it's because I'm an 8, or it's because I'm a 7, or whatever, and that makes it okay. And then you've got the other people who I feel I'm really in alignment with, who are, yes, that is because, you know, the motivations are there because I might be an 8, but what can I do to get out of the stuff that is no longer serving me?
Yes.
What's the point of staying trapped in that prison of justification and unhealth and that sort of thing if we're not actually progressing and learning how to unbox ourselves?
Absolutely. Oh, I knew you were my people. Yes, so we hit it off right away online. So it's,
yes,
I get to see your face. The listeners don't get to see your face, but
okay.
and that makes me happy to be able to connect. And so when I first met you online, I didn't really know your story, and it was getting to know you really in private messages that I really understood just what you had to offer, just the insight that you have, and your story with your stroke. I would love for you to share that story.
Sure. So 2012, mid-year, around the end of June, I went to the doctors, and I was a smoker at the time. And he said, so how are you going at giving up smoking? And I said, I'm going really shit. I need a scare of some sort. And so he said, yeah, right, well, I can't do that. And then 3 days later, I went to my osteo, and he gave me a neck manipulation, you know, where they crack the neck, and it tore an artery and bled into my brain. So I ended up having a stroke, which took 3 or 4 days to diagnose. So it was horrific. We didn't know what was going on. They thought it was a migraine, like it was just horrible. I couldn't walk, couldn't see. I could still talk. I could still hear. And eventually, when they explained that it was a stroke, I don't know how, but I decided, it didn't even feel like a decision. It was an unconscious decision of, right, it's a stroke. We know what it is. Jump in, recovery. So as soon as I could get up, I was at it, learning how to walk again. Once my eyesight cleared up, I actually researched the kind of stroke that I'd had. And literally, I'm a miracle. Like, I should have either been dead or in a vegetated state. So when I discovered that, it sort of just really built my resolve around, holy crap, this is my second chance at life. I'm not going to bloody waste it. So worked my hardest at recovery. I was 38 at the time, so that certainly helped, the fact that I was a bit younger. And they said that I would be in hospital for a minimum of 3 months, and I was out in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Part of the reason I was out was because my boys were teenagers, and so they were here. I'm a single mum, so they were here to offer me care and support when I came home. And it was a long, like, I didn't walk out of that hospital like normal. I had a walker frame. I was still learning to have my balance on my own, still learning to shower myself, still had really bad fatigue. So it didn't take much to tire me out at all. But over the last it took me about 18 months to get back to work. So I started at half days. Back then I was a practice manager of an accounting firm, and they were really supportive too. And I think I came out of it really with the idea that there, again, it feels like it's black and white talking, the 8 speaking. There's 2 kinds of people. I could have easily gone, why me? And gone into victim. I'd had depression for many years. I had all the recipes to actually delve into the depths of depression and just go totally into victim and, really lay it on thick if I wanted to. I had every reason to. And then there's the other sort of people who are like, wow, why am I still here? Why am I still here? And what have I got to offer? And I found myself in that second type of person without making even a conscious choice about it. It was just, as soon as I read what could have happened, that was it. It was like, wow. And like, I was obviously withdrawing from nicotine and that sort of thing while in hospital. And that was a struggle in itself. But every time I thought about having a cigarette, it was kind of like I was giving the universe the bird, going, yeah, thanks for the second chance. And I just wasn't prepared to do that. By then I'm like, holy crap, I am an amazing manifester. I need to be very careful about what I do and say. So that's pretty much it. Here I am 8 years later. I've got a new normal happening. I'll never go back to the old normal, and I'm quite okay with a lot of that. So a lot of my symptoms and stuff are on the inside. People don't know that I've had a stroke when they've met me, and I'm okay with that too. But out of that, it's like, well, what has served me pre-stroke? What hasn't served me pre-stroke? And what do I want my next stage of life to look like, and what can help me help others the best?
So moving. Now, was it before your stroke that you were into the personal development?
No, not at all. It was as a result of, I'd say, and that's one of the reasons I call it one of my truest blessings, because it drove me to go, hang on a minute. Looking back at my life, if I had died, what had I bloody well done with it? Like nothing. I was existing. I was just going through the motions. I was, work was just work. Even mothering was just mothering. I was treating my body like shit. It was like, okay, what do I want it to look like going forward? This is like a rebirth of sorts. And in order to do that, my first point of call was to actually work out who the hell I was, like in my truth.
Yes. And then unboxing that and finding the gifts.
Exactly. So unboxing the gifts and dissolving the shit.
Yes. Flesh it all out. Detox.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you feel like it was a part of your personality to have a scare in order to motivate yourself to do that? Or do you think that was outside of your personality?
In all honesty, I think I can't say it was because of my personality, but my personality certainly came out in how I dealt with it.
How so?
Because I think it was that fighting warrior sort of like the strong protector coming out. Although the more I think about it, and the way, so as an 8, I'm an 8, woohoo! As an 8, the most significant changes I do make in my life, full stop, are normally from a place of pain, or that's where the motivation's from. It's like from a real discomfort, to the point where you almost get angry. There's power in anger for us, and so the determination and that sort of stuff. I was, I think there might be some truth in what you questioned around. Did it have to be like, did it have to be a stroke in order for something like this to happen? And yes, it had to be pretty big and pretty impactful. Definitely.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I find that just about everything that we think, feel, and do goes through the filter of our personality, because it's so ingrained in us. We're not even aware of it. So even before we learn about the Enneagram, or that we even have a box that we can climb out of, we're still being affected by it. We just can't see it. We just can't see the box, but we're still trapped in that prison, so to speak.
Yeah, so, definitely.
I love how you distinguished, first of all, one observation. Only from my experience, only Enneagram 8s say, I'm an Enneagram 8, woohoo! Where other types, if they think that they're an 8, they're afraid. They're like, oh, I don't want to be an 8, but or whatnot. So 8s really own it. Really own
it. That's how I knew. I know one of the questions you asked, do you know your Enneagram type and how confident you are? It's like, I'm an 8, 100%, yes.
Absolutely. 8s come to that conclusion faster than any other number on the Enneagram. And you also said that it had to be pain. And to distinguish this from other pain, for other numbers, this is usually a physical pain, a physical impact of pain, as opposed to a mental pain like overwhelm or emotional pain. Now, of course, all types can have that, but I think it's really interesting that you distinguish that, and that it made you angry, because it's the angry triad, right? It's the red triad.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's super fascinating. So how do you, knowing what you know about your personality, how do you keep going forward when you kind of want, if there's a stressful moment and you kind of want to hunker down and isolate yourself? How do you keep going?
So because I've done extensive research on what happens in all kinds of scenarios for myself, I've actually identified, which is really helpful, that that my values, one of my values is actually connection. And so when I feel the need to withdraw, and sometimes I do withdraw, I don't think it's unhealthy to tap into what your body or what your psyche wants in any given moment. It's around, I guess, the motivation as to why you want to withdraw. But if I sense myself wanting to withdraw for non-healthy reasons, that's when I pull out my values card, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm sensing that I really want to go into withdrawal and shut down here. How's that going to serve me? Is that great? Is it good? Is it going to give me a rest? Is it going to be, or is it because I'm in a sulk? Is it because I'm using it for manipulation or control? And if so, what do I know about myself? What things put me back in alignment? One of my values is connection. So it's like, okay, every part of my being wants to withdraw from this, but because of unhealthy, stupid reasons, I'm going to actually live in alignment with my values in this moment and actually connect, even though I don't feel that I want to.
So beautifully said. Absolutely. I actually talk about personality as your personality is your personal individuality. And we have this personality tripod that has 3 legs. And if you don't balance those legs, you can fall over, right? You're not stable. We're not stable when we can't balance the 3 legs of our personality. The first one is your motivations, and that's what the Enneagram helps us figure out. The second one are your core values. So your core motivations, your core values, which you just so beautifully illustrated with your example that's a driver as well. And that's different for everyone. It's not Enneagram type specific. And the third leg is your core strengths. Now, the Enneagram definitely can point you in that direction, but it still is going to be different for everyone. It's different.
Yeah.
And so I love that you pointed that out and how it's working for you. And really understanding the difference between your stress number and your security number, and healthy responses and unhealthy responses, because those are 2 completely different continuums that we have to recognize.
Absolutely. And I think the magic for me has been, I say, in the pause. So it's the pause where it's kind of like I'm feeling reactive, because my personality is still there. It's not like I've dissolved it into this beautiful gooey too. It's definitely still there. So I still feel reactions come up. I still feel anger when I'm, I still observe myself wanting control at the most ridiculous times with the ridiculous strategies coming up. But it's in that pause. It's kind of, and that pause is the self-questioning. It's like, okay, how much of my reaction is actually my personality doing its thing? How much is real? How much is it their stuff? The gold in that pause has made all the difference in my life and my relationships.
Yes, because 8s are fast-paced, much like 7s. They're in that fast-paced triad where we're going, and in the future, so we're going, and thinking of what's next and what's next. That pause is gold. And so that's for 3s, 7s, and 8s. Having a moment to take that pause and check yourself, and what are you thinking, what are you feeling, and what are you doing, and how is it serving you, and how is it serving others? I love that. Now, when has there been a time when you've taken that pause and recognized that being reactive and being in control and being that warrior that 8s are so known for was the healthy thing to do? Are you feeling a bit disappointed that you haven't finished that project yet? Are the kids' schedules impacting your business? Or are the demands of your business affecting your relationships at home? Maybe you need a magic formula for that work-life balance before your fire gets so dim or it completely burns out. I've been there. There was a point in my life where I was juggling 2 businesses and homeschooling and had personal health issues. There was barely time to even connect with myself, much less connect with my husband. When I was finally officially diagnosed with ADHD, I felt like that explained everything. I had a new perspective and started approaching things in a new way. So I created a guide containing 20 tips that I personally use, and they have worked for me for helping me stay on course with my goals. Now, you might not have ADHD, but I bet you can relate to having a million distractions during the day. So if you're ready to stop procrastinating or stop being hard on yourself for missing yet another deadline, self-imposed or not, go ahead and download the guide at powercoachjen.com. If you just find one tip from the list that helps you move forward today, you will be so glad you took the time to read it. Go to powercoachjen.com and download the guide right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. because it's not often like what you've just described, that because normally the pause has me flip whatever's going on. Oh gosh, Jen, that's a great question. And I'm so attuned to flipping it too, like doing the opposite of what my reaction is. Oh, okay, I've got one. Okay, so it was a situation at my last employment where I felt that there was workplace bullying going on, and I experienced a very familiar energy to me. So it was an energy that has come in and out of my life, different people, but same energy, and had recognized that the reason why it kept coming back in my life in different forms was because I hadn't actually confronted and protected myself from it and had been the warrior. I'd actually backed down and been the little girl in it, because it was a very parental energy. And so I literally, I was having these 8 reactions of, bloody hell, you need to fight. And then I'm like, well, hang on a minute. No, we're dissolving those 8 things, is this helpful in this situation? And because I meditate a lot, and when I meditate, I actually tap into my super conscious, and I get sort of drop down messages. It's like, yes, it's time to do something. And so out of that, the wisdom that came through was kind of like, if you don't actually have this conversation now, this energy is going to come back again and again and again. So this as part of your experience in this life, you really need to have this conversation this time in order to dissolve or lessen the impact, because every time this energy came in, it felt more powerful. And the more powerful it was, the less in control I felt. So I was having physical anxiety reactions. And so I did the pause, and then decided I needed to actually go in and have these conversations, but not from an angry, like out of control, rageful 8, but from a empowered, in control, in integrity 8. And it was, very powerful. I felt I was super nervous. I mean, us 8s, yes, we're confident, but we still get nervous and we still get scared of some things.
Absolutely.
And so, that was probably the most powerful example in the last 6 to 12 months. And I'm still super proud of myself for doing that. And it actually helped build another layer of confidence in having that kind of conversation. It's like, okay, now I have a reference point where I felt really scared, and but I actually flipped the power dynamic, but not in an unhealthy way, in a beautiful, empowering way.
I'm glad you were able to come up with that example, because that's empowering. I think it's going to empower a lot of 8s who listen to this as well, because from my experience, not just 8s, but almost all personalities, we want to own our personality, but when we try to grow, we tend to dampen it and not really seeing it as a superpower, because our weaknesses are just strengths that aren't healthy. So when we can turn them into the healthy side of us, then they are strengths. And that's a part of those core strengths I was talking about, that third leg of the tripod that keeps us upright.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's going to, number one, it's going to help a lot of 8s understand that we need your boldness. We need your in control. We need your empowerment, and not to be afraid to show it, that people aren't judging you for that when it comes from a healthy place.
Yes, absolutely. And I've been fortunate over the last wee while. I actually left the accounting firm that I used to work at pre-stroke, left for 5 years, and I've now come back. and as manager again, but I'm managing from in a completely different way. And I'm looking back going, oh my gosh, I did manage from an intimidation way back then. Not that I deliberately went in thinking, right, I'm going to intimidate these people so they do what, but I'm like, and that was from observing other people's reactions to me. It's like, okay, if they're reacting differently to me and awkwardly or whatever, and if they're a certain type, they don't know it, but I might type them. Why are they reacting like that to me? And it's like, wow, they're actually finding me intimidating. Okay, what can I do to change that a bit? So my management skills as an 8 has altered now that I'm aware of the Enneagram and other things. So they're discovering a completely different management skill set, I guess, this time round as opposed to last time. And it's fun. It's fun because it could be really easy just to step back into old patterns. Most of the people I work with are still there. It's the same sort of workplace. I still love it, all that. So I could have easily just gone back and done it, but it's been really interesting observing myself in this role now and going, I remember when I used to do it like that. And what the motivation was. It's really cool.
And you did a really remarkable thing that a lot of people haven't come to that point yet. And this is the reason why a lot of people mistype as well. You were putting yourself into someone else's shoes and trying to figure out how they were experiencing you.
Absolutely.
And there's a gap there. Yeah.
That has been gold for me as well. Absolutely. That's probably my second gold, apart from, so pause is one. The pause is one. Number 2 is definitely and from a place of compassion and understanding, not non-judgment. It's like there's reasons why people are reacting the way they are to me. And again, yes, they've got their own shit happening and their own personalities that are boxing them in and that sort of thing. But what is I have a role in every interaction. So, how does control come up in this situation? Is control in this situation? That's been a constant questioning during my pause. It's like, okay, I'm feeling really reactive now. Okay, control, where are you? What are you doing? What are you playing today? That's right. And that's what my observation of that has been at the start. It's like, whoa, bloody hell, control's in the driver's seat big time. And then it's like I've moved them to the back seat a bit, but it's still there. And when I get all egotistic, it's like, no, I've got my control sorted, I'm all fine. It gets really sneaky and it comes up in little tiny ways that it's like, oh my God, there's control again. Who would have thought? So I don't think we ever dissolve the control. And that's what a lot of 8s think is the enemy, is the control. And it can feel like that, particularly at the start of your journey, I guess, as you're learning, because it comes up and it seems to be the clincher in all the shit that we go through is our need for control. But there's some incredible gifts in that as well.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really, and this goes for any type, whatever it is that's your vice that's associated with your type. It's not really our goal to dissolve it. It's our goal to redirect its energy to something healthy, to something good, to something that serves both you and other people. And getting along with other people, yes, everybody else has their own box, right? They have their own personalities and what's going on in their life, and we don't need to know. Yeah, it's fun in our heads to type them.
Yeah.
But we don't really need to know what their type is. We just need to know that they have their own stuff and they have their own fears. They have their own desires, just like we do. And that's where the compassion piece comes in, where we can say,
absolutely.
Oh, where control for an 8, it angers me and bothers me and this impacts me in this way. Well, for a 2, that emotional piece and wanting to be recognized, it's the same fear and it's the same desire. It's just two different things. One's control,
Absolutely.
one is attention. But it's
Absolutely.
the exact same feeling in our bodies when we don't get it or when we lose control of it, lose control of
Yeah.
control, or lose control of our emotions or our desires. So it's very interesting to have that perspective.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I know that you've got something in the works that
Yes.
you're getting ready to birth. Please tell our listeners about that. And I will drop the link in the show notes for everyone.
Absolutely. So, given my journey post-stroke has been one of such intense, I guess, personal growth, and I look at where I am now and the way I view life and love life and love myself in that life, I've been a part of quite a few stroke support groups, and I'm noticing that there feels like a real need for some direction for people who have come out the other side of a life-altering experience, that have come out, I guess, with similar focus to myself, which is around, wow, I'm still here. Why did that happen? And what am I here to learn about that? Who am I? That's a big one. And so I am creating a program totally based on everything. I'm putting nothing in it that I haven't actually done. I anchor things in certain ways through activities and exercises and that sort of stuff, which has really helped me. And I find that a lot of courses say, oh, yes, you should do this and do this and do this and do this, but they don't always give you the how and how to actually anchor it in for yourself. So part of what I'm going to be doing is creating a program with modules and lessons and that sort of thing that go through the journey of bringing you back to your divine spark, per se. I'm calling it the Recovery and Discovery Program, and I'm really excited about it. It's almost been channeled through to me that it's something that I need to do. So I know that it will be really helpful and really impactful for those who need it. I don't necessarily want it to be targeted specifically just for people who've had strokes. I'm sure that there's gold in it for all sorts of people who've had life-altering experiences. I honestly view my stroke as a universal wake-up call, as a come on, girl, enough sitting around and existing. It's time to come and do what you're here to really do, to make your unique difference. And I think if I can support others to, I guess, wake up and tap into their own unique differences that they can bring to the world, then I've done what I'm here to do.
That's so beautiful. You're my people. So I will pop that link in the show notes. If you want more information on that, check out her website. Thank you, Jodi O'Connell, for joining us today and sharing your story and your experience with Unboxing Your Personality.
Thanks so much for having me, Jen. I really appreciate it. And it's really great to witness people kind of on the other side of the world doing what we do. And I love the concept that you have. I love it feels like you're speaking my language too. It's all about unboxing, baby.
It is. You must be a wing 7, huh?
I definitely am.
All right, Jodi. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
I got so much out of this conversation, especially that as an 8, Jodi needed a physical wake-up call to almost force her to unbox herself. So now I'm wondering, what kind of wake-up call do the other types need? Would it be based on our centers? Would it be based on our stances? Or by our individual motivations for each type? Well, if you need assistance typing yourself, did you know that I have a free Facebook group? that's dedicated just for that, just go to powercoachjen.com and click on the open box when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it'll take you directly there. And of course it's an open box, because when you unbox yourself, you unleash your power. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and reviewing the Unbox Your Personality podcast. To learn more about yourself, go to powercoachjen.com. Find out how you are different so you can make your difference.